Yes, some big breaking news coming in right there from Mumbai. A massive NCB crackdown on ship that's going from Mumbai to Goa. NCB busts high-profile drug party on ship from Mumbai to Goa. Bollywood superstar's son among 10 detained. The NCB busts the cruise ship where they allegedly found cocaine, hashish, MD among the other drugs that were seized. This is the cruise ship that was just about to depart to Goa from Mumbai. The NCB crackdown on this ship eventually led to a drug bust. NCB has allegedly busted cocaine, MDMA and a host of other drugs from that ship, which was supposed to take off from Mumbai to Goa. The ship was supposed to depart at 4:30 this evening, but due to some miscommunication and organizers' hassle, it appears that that ship remained. It hasn't yet departed. And a few hours ago, after much chaos right outside the cruise ship, the NCB cracked down on the ship to find a host of drugs that were kept inside that cruise ship. Let me quickly cut across to Devesh Singh joining us from Mumbai, giving us some live updates on the crackdown. Devesh, we understand that a superstar's son is one among the 10 who've been detained. The NCB has cracked down that cruise ship where they've allegedly found a host of drugs, including cocaine, MD, hashish, and a lot more. Where exactly this cruise ship was headed towards, and what time was the departure was supposed to happen? What led to that chaos that we see right outside?
Nabila, this cruise liner that was to leave from Bombay, was to leave from Mumbai towards Goa today evening. NCB officials had received a tip of that there's a party that has been, a rave party that has been planned on this particular ship. Following this, NCB officials posing as customers entered the ship, and then when this alleged party started, they started the crackdown, they started their operation and rounded up all the around 10 people, which also includes one of the biggest, son of one of the biggest Bollywood superstars, who is yet detained, who is still detained by the NCB officials. NCB officials are still on the cruise liner and they are carrying out the spot panchnama and other details related to the case. They would leave very soon from the cruise liner towards the NCB office.
Well, there you have it. This is exactly the ship, Cordelia, that was supposed to be departing from Mumbai all the way to Goa. In fact, this was supposed to be, there was a party that was supposed to take place inside this cruise ship. It was supposed to depart, but it hasn't. So far, it appears that this ship was stalled due to mismanagement by the organizers, and eventually this led to chaos. And just a few hours ago, we heard that the NCB has cracked down on this ship to find drugs that was kept inside this cruise ship. Many of them have been detained, including a superstar's son. That's the information that we get here. In fact, this is an event inside that cruise ship that was organized by high-profile organizers. This was also part of the fashion TV. It was a fashion TV event as per reports coming in. These are allegations that the organizers did not manage the event well and eventually led to an NCB crackdown after chaos that ensued right outside the cruise ship. The ship, we believe, hasn't yet departed. It was supposed to depart at 4:30 p.m., but it's still stalled due to chaos and eventually the NCB raid. Let me cut across to Munish Pandey. Munish, here's the NCB crackdown on this ship, a cruise ship where high-profile guests believed to be part of it. They were leaving from Mumbai to Goa, and it appears that the ship, even before it departed, has been cracked down by the NCB.
Yeah, well, Nabila, what we have been given to understand by our sources in the Narcotics Control Bureau, that there was intelligence input with the NCB officials that some drug consumption is supposed to take place in this particular cruise ship. Now, when the NCB officials got this information, there was a team formed, and because it was in the water, the team was supposed to go through a boat, and later on when the raid took place inside the cruise, then the NCB officials found that there was some suspected drug consumption going on within the cruise ship, and Then the organizers were called by the NCB officials. The raid was conducted, and now we have been given to understand that at least 10 people have been detained by the NCB officials. As of now, the NCB has not given any, official confirmation about the inputs that there was a son of Bollywood celebrity also there, but this is confirmed that the raid has taken place and at least 10 people have been detained. Now they will be tested, and after the reports, the NCB officials will take further action. But Nabila, what is important here is that from last 1 year, NCB has been doing crackdowns all across Mumbai, Maharashtra and Goa. Now, as far as this cruise ship is concerned, remember when such crackdowns were going on by the NCB officials, then the organizers and also those people who consume drugs, they shifted their base from a hotel room or from a farmhouse to these cruise ships. And that is why this becomes very important, because this is a very important crackdown by the NCB officials. Nabila.
Well, we see that there are several celebrities, in fact, putting up posts on social media saying that the organizers have mismanaged the entire event. They were waiting right outside, but they've got no response. The ship was supposed to be departing by around 4:30 p.m. But even because of the kind of mismanagement, many people waiting outside, it was overbooked. As per several people who've also put up tweets on social media, they've put up messages that clearly shows that there was a party, a full-blown party that was supposed to be organized on this cruise ship. It wasn't just a ferry between Mumbai to Goa. It was a party that was supposed to happen on waters inside that cruise ship, and it appears that the organizers had overbooked, leading to quite some chaos outside. And many celebrities have put up tweets accusing the organizers of mismanagement, even though they've paid lakhs of rupees. About 57,000 rupees, it appears, for a ticket there, Manish.
Yeah, well, Nabila, that is the allegation by the people who had booked this particular cruise. Now, as far as this cruise is concerned, we have been given to understand is that this cruise was launched just 2 weeks back, and there was a big event during the launch. Now, after that event, there was this program which was organized, and the people were supposed to be ferried from Mumbai to Goa. And most of the people who booked tickets, they were mostly from the Bollywood industry or the fashion industry, or those who are from business community, because the tickets are not cheap. So now we have been given to understand, and also there are several posts alleging that the organization did mismanage the entire event. There was an event which was supposed to take place from Mumbai to Goa, because it's not a hour or 2 hour journey from Mumbai to Goa. If you are taking a cruise, then it is going to take several hours to reach Goa from Mumbai, and the entire night supposed to be a big event inside the cruise. So, of course, there are many people who are alleging that the organizer mismanaged the entire situation. There was chaos, but also when the NCB officials reached inside the cruise, they found that there were few people who were it is suspected that they were consuming drugs also, and that is why the NCB has raided this particular cruise. Now, who all were inside the particular cruise, who were consuming the drugs, that details is still to come from the NCB officially, but sources are telling us that at least 10 people have been detained for suspected consumption of drugs on board this particular cruise. Nabila.
Well, we're seeing that this cruise is currently, that was supposed to take off by around 4:30. It's still stranded. It's still there by the port. But I'd like to ask you, based on what kind of tip-off did the NCB crack down on this cruise ship? Was there information that they received much in advance, or was it a surprise check?
Yeah, well, Nabila, as far as NCB actions are concerned, there is a particular team in NCB that only gathers intelligence information, and especially the information about the parties which are regarding a cruise or a farmhouse where there is a social media post. Now, this post was also in consideration by the intelligence officers of Narcotics Control Bureau. And when they got this information, they started verifying who all these people are who are taking this particular journey from Mumbai to Goa. Now, as far as the officers within the NCB are concerned, they are saying that after this intelligence information, when they verified, they found that there are few people who might consume drugs or who might supply drugs in this particular cruise, and that is why a team was formed. And when they raided, then they found that there are indeed few people who were, suspected to be consuming drugs. Why I'm saying suspected? Because till the time there is no, forensic report or medical report about the people who suspectedly consume drugs. Till that time, there is no one can confirm that whether they were actually consuming drugs or not. But on suspicion, 10 people have been detained, and NCB is saying that this is a very major crackdown on these people who were involved not only in drug consumption but maybe in drug peddling. Nabila.
Well, this is, nonetheless, this is a massive event that was organized by one of the popular fashion television channels, and it appears there was a massive lineup, DJ lineup that was supposed to happen. The music was supposed to play while right after the cruise ship departed. But even before it departed, the NCB has cracked down on that cruise ship. Devesh, if you know some details on exactly who are those people who have been detained. We understand a Bollywood superstar's son is also one among them who've been detained.
Yeah, Nabila, we just got confirmation that Bollywood superstar's son is among the 10 people who've been detained, and there are various others. Some are already associated. Some of them are those who have been associated with the film industry. While there are no details about the others who've been detained, because as of now they haven't been served with the official arrest memo, or any official action hasn't been initiated against them. As of now, the questioning by NCB has begun. They are being questioned, and the spot Panchnama is being carried out by NCB officials at the spot, at the place within the cruise where these suspected drugs have been seized, where this suspected rave party was going to happen. So NCB officials are still on board the ship. They are carrying out the spot Panchnama, but we don't have any kind of details regarding who are these 10 people, because NCB officials haven't officially declared the name, because they, remember, Nabila, they are still detained. They have not been arrested. They haven't been arrested. They are detained as of now. No official action has been initiated against them. Once the arrest memo is served, only after that these people will be arrested or placed under arrest. But as of now, these people have been detained. There are kits available with the Narcotics Control Bureau, using which it will be determined whether these people have consumed narcotic drugs or not. Once the report comes in, this will be an immediate test kit, and the results are expected to be available within few minutes. So once the report of all these detainees comes in, then the further process will be initiated to process their arrest and take further action, register a case against them. Nabila?
Right. Here, Devesh, we know that these are high-profile event organizers. We believe that a bunch of them, they've organized multiple concerts in the city of Mumbai. Some Hollywood personalities also that they've brought down. So these are people who are well known in the event circuit. They were organizing a massive event in this cruise liner, but who knew that drugs would be part of the deal? And each ticket was sold at a minimum rate of 57,000 rupees as per the posters.
Nabila, this is one of the first cruise that has started its operations since March last year, since the lockdown came into effect, since the pandemic began. This cruise liner only began operations since mid-August, and this is the first one to start or begin operations again amongst the few cruise liners that had been operating in Indian seas. So this particular event that was organized was a major event. It had a high footfall, as we've seen on social media also, that the number of people who gathered to be on this cruise liner was much higher than the reserved seats or reserved place within the cruise liner. There were high number of seats that were sold. There were a high number of people that were present on this particular cruise liner, and that was chaotic. People have tweeted, people have shared about it on social media as well. But as of now, there were major party organizers, major people associated from the film and fashion industry who had been organizing this event that was going to happen on board this cruise liner, which was going to leave from Mumbai and was to reach Goa by the next day. Nabila?
Well, Divyesh, of course, these are very sketchy details that we have as yet. Don't have the entire picture, but let's go through the details that we really have so far. The NCB has now busted a major drug racket, it appears, in Mumbai on a ship that was supposed to be departing from Mumbai all the way to Goa. An event was happening on that ship. It was a high-profile party where drugs were also involved, as per reports. In fact, a superstar's son has also been detained. Now, the operation went on for about 7 hours, and all the 10 accused will allegedly be brought back to Mumbai, and we will be going through a drug test as well. So this is the initial information that we received so far. NCB currently has raided that cruise, which was supposed to depart at around 4:30 p.m. But so far, it appears that due to organizers' mishandling and mismanagement, the cruise was overbooked. A lot of chaos that ensued right outside the cruise ship as well. It was supposed to take off at 4:30. It did not. Eventually, it led to an NCB bust, an NCB crackdown. While right after the raids, they found a good chunk of drugs from inside that cruise ship, which still hasn't departed. It's still by the port, and we understand that organizers are so far not responsive. Whether they have been cracked down on or not, that remains to be seen. I'd like to ask Devesh on that. Devesh, we know that 10 of them have been detained, including a superstar's son, but what about the organizers of the event?
Nabila, we are yet to get details on the exact names of the organizers who had organized this particular event on this cruise liner. As of now, as we've earlier reported, that NCB officials are present on the cruise liner. They are carrying out spot panchnama and other details. Questioning is going on of a few suspects and detainees who are found on the cruise liner. As of now, what we've learned is there are 10 people who've been detained, including a superstar, Bollywood superstar son, who was present on the cruise liner. There are drugs that have been found, which includes MD, methadone, cocaine, and hashish, have been found on the cruise liner. That is what our sources tell us from NCB. NCB officials, including the zonal director of NCB for Maharashtra and Goa, Samir Wankhede, with his team himself, is present on the cruise liner and is supervising the operation. Panchnama is being carried out. Suspects are being questioned. Nabila?
All right. I'd like to ask you if the NCB is still on board. We understand that the NCB officials still on the cruise ship. Are they still raiding the premises? Have they left from there? What's the status on that, Devesh?
Yeah, Nabila, the NCB officials under supervision of Zonal Director Samir Wankhede are still present on board the cruise liner. As we've reported, that the Panchnama process takes some time. So, spot Panchnama under the Narcotic Drug and Psychotropic Substances Act is being carried out at the spot within the cruise liner, on the cruise liner by NCB officials. They have carried portable drug test kits, which are being used on the suspects and detainees to check whether they have consumed narcotic drugs or not. Once the report comes in, it will be clear whether they had consumed narcotic drugs or not. Sections of what sections to be applied against them then will be decided by the investigating officers from NCB. Organizers will be booked for organizing the event, while consumers will be booked for consumption, and then arrest memos could be served to them while they are being brought back to the NCB office in Mumbai, which is nearby from the dock where the cruise liner is presently docked. It's a few meters away from the dock. NCB officials could reach anytime, any moment at their office, but as of now, they are on board the cruise liner. Nabila?
All right, let me cut across to Munish, also joining us on that. Munish, we understand that the NCB officials are still on the ship. They're still raiding the premises. They're trying to check the entire ship there. Would you know how many people are currently on board that ship? From what we hear and all the allegations that many people who wanted to board that ship, they've put up tweets on social media accusing the organizers of mismanagement and overbooking, resulting in many people waiting for hours outside that cruise ship. It seems like this cruise ship was much in demand, quite a popular trip for a lot of them.
Yeah, well, Nabila, as Divesh was explaining, that this was among the first cruises, which was supposed to depart from Mumbai to Goa or any other place after the lockdown was over. Now, as far as this ship is concerned, there was an intelligence information with the Narcotics Control Bureau, after which the raid took place. Now, as far as the entire, this cruise is concerned, remember, this is as of now a crime scene. So the NCB officials have to go around the entire cruise. They have to get the samples from the entire cruise, and that is when the confirmation will come that what amount of drugs and what type of drugs were being consumed on this particular cruise. Now, as far as the NCB officials are concerned, of course, the raids are still going on. There is a there are people from the NCB who are analyzing the drugs, as well as they are taking samples from the people who were on board this particular ship, so that the blood report can confirm that whether they consumed a particular drug or not. And based on the amount of consumption, based on whether there was any drug found from any person, those charges will be pressed on those people. As of now, we are waiting for the confirmation from NCB that how many people are exactly present on board this particular cruise. However, we're supposed to board this particular cruise. These details are yet to come. But as you mentioned, this cruise ship was indeed in demand, and there were many people from Bollywood and fashion industry who were supposed to take this particular cruise for Goa, and there was a big event they were looking forward this particular night.
Yeah, it does seem like a big event, considering that there are many of them who are quite bitter with the fact that the organizers have overbooked. It appears, from what I gather on social media and the posts that have been put up, nothing less than 1,500 people who are currently on board that ship. So it's a massive crowd inside that ship, which was supposed to depart towards Goa. A big DJ lineup that was already planned, and close to 57,000 per ticket. That was the kind of money that the organizers were making, but the least that they could do was filter the crowd and ensure that drugs would not be allowed. But clearly here they've missed out on that. And the NCB has finally got whiff of it, cracked down on that ship and managed to detain a good bunch of them, including a Bollywood superstar's son. Any word on the kind of people who are there? Who is this superstar? Anything on those lines that you would know on the kind of people who've been detained, Manish?
Jamal, Nabila, officially, we are still to get confirmation from the Narcotics Control Bureau. Of course, we have the name that who this superstar is, but we are waiting for the official confirmation. Now, as far as the, the people who have been detained, most of them are from Bollywood industry and fashion industry. Now, why, this ship was in demand? Also because there was a fashion show which was planned in this particular cruise. There was a big DJ program which was supposed to take place this particular night on this cruise. So there were many people who were looking forward this particular event, especially after lockdown. And also, cruises are something which are people who consume drugs or they want a good glamorous party, they take these cruises. And that is why the tickets are very, very much in demand. There are people who pay lakhs and lakhs.
All right, I'm going to quickly cut across to Vikram Singh, who's the former DGP, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Singh, here's a cruise liner that has been cracked down by the NCB. It was to depart from Mumbai to reach Goa. It had a massive DJ lineup, a huge party that was organized by some popular event organizers. They've done a host of parties in the recent past itself, bringing down some Hollywood celebrities. So these are people who are bankable. These organizers were organizing a massive party on that cruise ship, an experience to remember. This is the kind of promotion that they've done on social media as well. An unparalleled experience on the seas and dance to the tunes of multiple DJs, names that have been written. So this is a massive event that was to take place. About close to 1,500 odd people who are still on that ship. With the NCB crackdown now, they found huge cache of drugs. How do you think that this investigation, or where do you think this will lead to?
Good evening, Nabila. I would compliment the NCB for cracking down on what was believed to be this underbelly of shame, as was evident in the Sushant Singh death case. But this is, I believe, the first major case in decades that the NCB has been able to successfully uncover, and I do hope that it is vigorously followed up so that the conduit and the supply line and the supply chain of narcotics, the producers, the suppliers and the consumers are identified and accounted for. And indeed, it requires quality intelligence, indeed a very faithful implementation of the standard operating procedures so as to get those who are the consumers. This is not an ordinary case, Nabila. They are high-profile producers, suppliers and consumers, and indeed they have to put their best foot forward to have a foolproof investigation. I know there will be tremendous pressure to release them because they are rich and famous, not only of Mumbai, but of, it's anybody's guess. Yes, there need to be absolutely no-nonsense approach, a faithful and a very sincere investigation, quality investigation, doubled up with all the evidence that they have, circumstantial and otherwise, so that they have a foolproof case tomorrow when the accused are produced before the court. Nabila, I think this is a major success that has happened in the last I don't know of any case that has been so sensational where the rich and the famous have been accounted for. And this is the cruise. And as you very rightly said, the modus operandi is the social media and in the electronic media that they also go and propagate experience of a lifetime. And I believe the tickets ran into thousands and lakhs of rupees. What a shame that the youngsters were ensnared and enticed into this vice and into this party of shame.
Well, this was a party that was organized. Any event organizer would organize a party, but it's for the organizers to also ensure that they crack a whip right at the entrance to ensure that drugs don't filter in. But it somehow appears that with over 1,000 people on that cruise ship, it seems like the organizers had no control. And we believe that they've overbooked. The organizers, as per many of them who've bought those tickets, they've been venting their anger online on social media platforms, accusing the organizers of overbooking. So this was a chaos that really snowballed to a point with the NCB arriving at their doorstep, least that the organizers expected.
I would say that it is a matter of investigation whether the organizers were complicit or absolutely a mute spectator to what had happened. I doubt that such organizers would be mute spectators. Somewhere down the line, one of the team members could possibly be complicit and facilitated the infiltration of drugs in the party.
Well, Mr. Singh, the bust is still on. It's been over 7 hours that the NCB is still on the cruise ship. Where do you think this investigation will lead to? 10 of them have been detained, including a Bollywood superstar's son. But what about the organizers? What about the rest of them on board? How are they going to really handle a massive crowd like this while the NCB is inside?
You see, the party attendees are the consumers, but the organizers and those who supplied the drugs are the key players, and they need to be identified by the NCB who are the suppliers and the supply chain. They are the culprits and they need to be identified. The consumers, of course, cannot absolve themselves of the responsibility, but indeed those who are a part of the supply chain, they are the main culprits.
Right, Mr. Singh, you have almost hundreds of them who are still inside. Do you think there's a chance that the NCB would allow any of them to step out at this moment?
Not at all. I think they've scrutinized each and every one of them, and they'll take a lot of time. It will not be before early dawn that they can even think of going out, and I don't think it will be very easy for anyone to extricate oneself if one is involved either in the supply or in the consumption.
Right, Mr. Singh, a quick word on the organizers. Considering they're high-profile organizers, they have conducted massive events in the past in various parts of India. How do you think they would be liable at this point?
Absolutely. I mean, the organizers have a responsibility because if they're organizing a party, they should sanitize it from any malicious or any malignant influence on those who come to the party. Those who attend parties after paying a hefty fee and a premium, they have a right, and they need to be that they're going to a decent place, a place of dignity, and everything would be dignified, upright, and within the ambit of law. If it does not happen, well, the organizers have a lot of explaining to do to the NCB and the police also. Well,
last word, if at all the organizers are found to be guilty, what kind of punishment are we looking at?
Well, if the organizers are guilty, then it can the punishment is very, very stiff. It can go up to 10 years if it is a repeat punishment. It can be even more than that.
Vikram Singh, thank you very much, sir, for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this. This is, of course, a massive bust by the NCB. We have our reporters joining us, Divyesh and Munish, who've been tracking those developments. Divyesh, over to you on what's happening right outside. We believe that ship has not departed. The NCB cracked down a few hours earlier. It's been 7 hours now, and the NCB is still put inside that cruise ship. They aren't letting anyone come outside as well. They're trying to check every nook and corner of that massive cruise liner, which was supposed to depart to Goa at 4:30 this evening. Any word if the NCB got a tip-off, or was it because of the chaos outside between organizers and people who weren't able to go in that this crackdown happened? What really led to this bust?
Nabila, what we've learned from our sources is that NCB officials received a tip-off that a rave party was being organized on this particular cruise liner, and that is why they had got on board this particular cruise liner as customers, as people who'd come to attend the party, or as people who'd come to attend the event that was being organized on the cruise liner. Based on this, a plan was put in place by the zonal director Samir Wankhede and his team, who are right now present on board the cruise liner. Each and every person will have to provide details. He'll be tested for drug consumption, and only after that they could be allowed to leave from the cruise liner. But as of now, it's people have been detained. At least 10 people have been detained who are suspected to have consumed drugs in the rave party that was happening on board the ship. And it also includes a Bollywood superstar's son that we know of. We know the details of this person, but as of now, as Munish pointed out, that he hasn't been officially arrested. He has just been detained. The process is yet to be initiated for his formal arrest. Once it happens, we'll reveal the name, we'll reveal the details. But as of now, we know that 10 people have been detained, including this youngster who's a Bollywood superstar's son. They've been and NCB officials are present on board with the portable test kits for narcotic drug consumption. Each and every person is being checked through these kits, and after the process is over, after the spot panchnama is carried out, NCB officials could take the detainees to their office, which is nearby in Balad Pier in Mumbai, where memos could be served to them, and they'll be booked officially under NDPS Act, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, following which they could be produced in court tomorrow. Nabila?
We're really keen on knowing what exactly happened to the organizers. Have they been cracked down by the NCB? Have they been responsive? Have they answered questions? In fact, India Today continues to track this. We're looking at an NCB bust